Hello everyone, this is Johannes.
And this is Sinon.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are taking a look at Dead Reckoning.
This is a new game in the card crafting system universe. I almost said it's not a universe, but it's a system, a card crafting system by John D. Clear and published by AEG Games.
It plays from 1 to 4 players in about 120 minutes.
I think that would be one of the weirdest tries to make a universe out of a game. It's like the new game in the card crafting system universe.
Yes, I want to go to their theme park now.
I think I would rather
Gonna be awesome.
play something in the Marvel universe
Yes.
or DC actually over this, but the card
know.
crafting system universe is maybe not the best idea. If you're watching this, John, don't go down that route. But today we are looking at this game, which is a pirate, kind of a sandboxy game where you will be running around, not running actually, sailing around mostly, exploring islands, upgrading your crew, battling other merchant ships, other players, trying to get gold coins, trying to get resources so you can do more of the upgrading of your crew and your ship and your everything, build buildings. You will basically do whatever you want to try and get the victory points. So as always, we're just going to do a brief little overview. That was kind of almost the overview.
Yes, it was.
But just like very briefly what you will be doing in this game. It's a card crafting system game, not in a universe. Card crafting system world maybe would be better.
Yes.
You are going to be having a deck of cards, 12 cards to be exact. And you will be playing those cards. And as in the other card crafting system games, if you played any of them, you will not be getting more cards in your deck like in most deck builders. Here you will instead be upgrading the cards with these transparent cards that you put into a sleeve with other cards, and this part of the card is printed, so you will see more cards on top of each other. So you will be sailing around with your pirate ship, exploring islands. I already said half of these things, and kind of the goal is to get points. You get points by doing getting coins, which you will get by producing coins. You can get it by attacking other people, attacking merchant ships. You will be getting points for controlling areas, controlling these different islands on the map. You will also be having all of these kind of, what is it called again? Milestones.
Yes.
Awards, milestones, something
Just
like
I don't know what you're
I'm just
talking
trying to send it
about.
over to you, the person who knows the rules. You will be getting these, and that is kind of also the trigger of the game. So you basically have, the game is widely open and you kind of have to choose what you want to focus on to end the game. You don't have to go for those to win the game, but those are what ends the game. If any of that doesn't make any sense, then go watch all of the other videos to actually talk about the rules of the game. Because we are more about talking about and rambling about what we think about the actual game. And as always, where do we begin?
We start with the artwork and components.
Yes.
The game has artwork by Ian O'Toole and it looks beautiful as always.
As always.
It isn't a lot of artwork here in the game. It's like the sea and the islands, and that is nice. And I like that even though that there are ships there and islands and buildings and cards that you can get, it's very easy to have an overview of the map, what's where and what produces what, and it's fairly simple to have a grasp of where to go and what's available to you, so I like that. The artwork on the cards are nice as well, clear symbols, very few questions about all the cards and symbols that pop up, and everything basically is available to everyone, so you can easily ask the players you play with if you don't understand the symbol or something.
I think that the game looks very good on the table. Like you have a big ship that you use for combat. We're going to talk about that later.
Awesome.
It's basically a cube tower, but a ship instead.
It adds a presence to the game.
Everything that's 3D basically will add something. You have these small treasure chests that you put your money into. That is super nice. I love that. Taking the coins and putting them into that treasure chest. It's just like another little thing that adds to the game.
Yes.
I think all in all the presentation, like the visual presentation of the game, both in playability and in looks, is very good.
Yeah, I think like the only complaint I have about the components is like a pirate flag that you can put on your ship.
Yes, it's horrible.
I really don't like how you put it on your ship and how it stays there. But then again, you often don't use the pirate
depending
flag,
on how you play. Like probably more like aggressive players than we are might use it more than we do.
I haven't been big on using the pirate flag.
No, because we're not that
I am
much
a Care
into
Bear.
combating people, which we will talk about later and see if that makes us hate the game. Boo, combat stuff. So let's just briefly go into the rulebook. The rulebook is good. There is player aids, and the player aids are pretty good.
Yes.
You have both like a player aid of all of the different abilities of all of the cards that you have in your hand, in your deck.
Yeah.
And you also have like a symbol reference, and you have everything you can do on your turn, everything you do at the end of your turn, and everything you do between turns. So it is a
like
very good basically way to learn the game. The game is not that hard to learn because the different actions are pretty simple. There's like kind of a lot of rules, but it's not that hard to learn. We played it with 2 players who hadn't played that much. Like they have played mostly games with us, maybe played like 30, 40 different games. And they grasped it pretty well. Like it took a bit, it was the first time for all of us playing it, but they grasped the system, they grasped it, so that it's not a very heavy game, but there's quite a few rules, especially with all the different upgrades and all the cards that you can get.
Yeah, I feel like the rules explanation took some time, but everything that you said, the concept I understood quickly, so it wasn't a lot of questions on how things worked and then a lot of confusion. So I think also the player aids, the first time you play a game, you might use them a lot, but when you go into your second, third play, you are usually pretty free of looking at the player aid all the time.
That is true. I'm just going to do like the brief information part of the next section, and then you can jump into the thoughts, the actual interesting part. That's playtime and player count. We have played a game 2 players, 3 players, and 4 players. We have, as always, not played the 1-player game, so other channels are better for the solo view of games. All channels are probably better than ours because we do not never talk about solo modes.
Yes.
I enjoyed all of those player counts. You can go more into the details of that. Just playtime. First time, it was the only time we played 4 players, and it took 3 hours, which was a long game, and it felt long.
It felt long.
But that was also because everybody was learning, and it was for new players.
Absolutely.
The 3-player games we have played has been almost exactly 90 minutes. So like between like 85 and 95 minutes, and the times we played 2 players has been about an hour, which is a great playtime for the game, and the game box says like 2 hours, which then goes down to being like half an hour per player, which then adds up to being an hour.
I'm very happy with that.
9 minutes. I'm good at math.
Yes.
So the 2, 3, and 4 player games, what did you like the most? What did you not like the most?
I enjoyed all of them.
Yes.
I think like when we played with more players than 2, I could, if I was going for a combat strategy, I could like pick out the weakest opponent.
You are the weakest link.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
like because if you combat against somebody who also go in combat, it can be brutal. You can lose yourself. So you have a little more options.
Lose yourself in the music.
And going, you have a little more options like what to go for. Like you don't have to respond directly to the one player that you're playing against when you're playing with 3 or 4 players.
Yeah.
But I think it really did work great with 2 people as well. I think it has some balance on the board that I really like.
Yeah.
If you're playing with 2 players, you switch out some of the islands with like booster tiles that really boost the other tile around. Islands around it, so they produce more. So I like how they balance that.
I agree. I felt like for it being a pirate game, you might be more piratey in a multiplayer game than a 2-player game. But it's not my favorite part of the game, so it's not like I'm feeling I'm missing out too much by playing 2 players. One thing I do like is that you can meet merchant ships.
Yeah.
So it's not like if we are 2 players, you can basically go for a... I don't think you should go like for a heavy attack strategy and only focus on the merchant ships, but you can go for, I'm going to do some combat. There's a lot of merchant ships out there. Let's get some combat cards and go attack those, because the other player is not going to do that. And I really enjoy that you're having like the NPC that you can go and attack that is not the other player, both because they're easier to battle with, because they don't have, most of the time maybe might not have as much attack power. Yeah. But then again, they are random.
If you lose, it doesn't really... contribute to the other player.
No, so we're going to talk more about like the combat part of it later. But play count wise, I feel like if you are into the heavy conflict part, I think more players is better. But I think that the game felt for me very balanced at all play counts.
I agree.
Do you agree
Absolutely.
with that?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the gameplay, like the main part of the review, the main thingy of the Marvel universe. Now the the
Card
card
crafting
crafting
universe.
So yes, let's talk about it. It's a sandbox game.
Yes, I really like how the card crafting system is what do you call it? Incorporated.
Yes, yep.
Into the game.
Yep.
I think it works really well with the other mechanisms in this game. Sandboxing wise, I really feel like I have all the options open to me at the beginning of the game. What I decide to ultimately go for feels for me a little tactical, because I will respond to the cards, like the card upgrades available on the map. Those will be switched out when people buy them, so there will be some circulation there. But what you initially start to buy for your cards will be the cards that you use the most, because you get them first. So I feel like you, in the first 2-3 rounds, you get kind of a, okay, maybe I will go for having a lot of control on the islands now, or oh, I got some really good card upgrades with some cannons, maybe I will go for some combat.
Yes, I feel like, but to talk a bit more about the sandbox, because that is a style of game that we don't see that often in board games, and we haven't played. I can only come up with one game that we played. Western Legends is the only one I can come up with, where you can basically go around and do whatever you want. It's not like there is. I don't. It's that and Saya is the ones I can come up with, which are sandbox games, and of course this one, where you don't have like, oh, the goal is to do this or the goal is to do that. So if you don't know like the concept of sandbox games, it's taken from video games where you can basically just go around and do whatever you want. And the game with all of the like achievements that you can go for, you can choose some that you want to go for, and every game chooses different ones, which will might make the game different. What do you mean?
Yeah, but I compare this game a little to Scythe. And not in every aspect, but inside you have these stars that you put on these achievements that you can get. And that also is kind of like sandbox.
It's a sandbox element, yeah, absolutely.
Because you can, okay, I don't want to focus on combat, I want to focus on this instead. Or you can go for the combat stuff, or like combine the ones that you see fit and try to go for that, because that is how you win the game. And I
haven't thought about that, but it makes sense.
And in this game, you don't necessarily win by getting like the most achievements or like finishing all of them. You can have a lot of coins in your treasure chest.
But then you're just doing that.
Yes, absolutely. But I feel like this is a normal game. I don't feel like it's a sandbox game. It feels completely different for everything else that I've played. It feels like sandbox is as much as a sandbox game in my opinion, and yet I don't call it a sandbox game.
No, I see where you're coming from. This is not going to be like a 25 minutes talking about sandbox games, but I actually
I fell down.
No. That was I was gonna continue. That's why I said it, not because what you said, because I feel like the kind of the sandboxy thing come from. I don't know. It comes from being. Oh no! I'm gonna try being a merchant. Or no, I'm gonna be an explorer.
But
or no,
I
I'm
feel
gonna...
like that in all the games.
Do you? Like
in many Euro games, I can be like, oh, I wanna do this now, or I wanna focus on this now.
I think maybe it might be
like thematically.
It might be a bit of thematics, and also a bit like how the game is structured, because the game is very loose.
Yeah, that's true.
So we can go into that, because it continues that discussion.
Yes.
Because the game is very loose in what you do. It's not like, oh, you have 2 actions, you have to do a worker placement, and you go there and you do that action to get 2 resources. That is kind of, I don't feel like that can be a sandbox game. It's more of the, I can move around, I go here and I pick up some stuff, and now I'm gonna go and explore the seas. And it might be a bit more of thematics, like you're saying that. If you have a great definition of like sandbox, because I don't feel in Lisboa that I can be like, oh, this game I'm gonna go and explore the universe. Like, you understand what I mean?
There's so many games like I feel that, for example, in Lost Ruins of Arnak, you
Yeah.
also play cards, and what you decide to do that round, either if that is, I'm going into a whole different game now.
Yes.
If that is to use your workers, you don't even have to reuse your workers. You can use your cards for other things.
You should use your workers.
Yeah, you should.
Or else you will lose.
No, not necessarily.
Because you won't get any resources.
Well,
but that's another game, so we're not reviewing that today.
Yes, we're not. But I feel like there's something between this and Lisboa. But my main point, the reason that I went in there is because if you're buying this game and thinking, oh wow, this is a sandbox game, I'm gonna do whatever I want, I think you're gonna be...
No, but it is like this is the most.
No.
This is the most kind of sandboxy you will ever get, because if you don't have,
I think actually Western Legends is like a real sandbox.
Because
I don't
if you
remember
don't have rules,
I don't know.
then you can do whatever you want.
No,
but with rules, like there has to be rules by how things work.
But I think it's a little thematic, as you said. Like it feels like you have free will.
And you do, because nobody decides what you do.
Yes.
But okay, that's not neither here nor there. It's my favorite expression. Let's talk a bit. Like if you sorry about that, you're never gonna get those 5 minutes of your life. But us talking about sandbox without maybe knowing exactly what it is.
This is strictly scripted. All of this. Yes.
As always, all our videos 100% scripted. Let's talk a bit about like the turns that we were trying to go into.
Yeah.
Because you basically can do whatever you want. You have like a soft set of rules how it works. Like, but after that you can
follow them if you want to.
Yeah, you should follow them, or else you will be breaking the rules. So even though like there's a lot of freedom, there's a lot of restriction, because depending on the cards you have in your hand, you might not want to play all the cards in your hand. You might want to have some for next round. You might want to do different things depending on the tactical things, as you're saying. So even though there's a lot of possibilities, what I wanted to say basically was that the turns go quickly.
Oh yeah, I agree. I feel like some turns are very quick because like, oh, I have played these cards and I get 3 resources. That's my turn. And then you get some...
That's a bad turn.
Yeah. That's and then you get some upgraded cards, some cards with a lot of these card crafted stuff in them. I don't know. And then you suddenly get to do a lot of things. And then you have to like be like, oh, I have used this card with this symbol, but I haven't used this one yet. And you have to be like, have a little control. But what I feel like...
You have cubes, so you can place on it if you want.
Yes. But I feel like they've done a really super smart thing, and that is when I'm done, then I get to like place some of those things that I've bought into cards, and I also get to upgrade some cards that I get next round. And I can do that when it's not my turn, like after I'm done.
Not the slaving, you have to do that at the end of your turn.
Yeah, the upgrading.
The only thing you can do is like the level upping of your card. You can do between the turns. There's no reason why you can't do the slaving also and let other people start if you're not like super competitive and being like, oh, you do that and I'm gonna change my mind. If you don't play like that, you can just do that to make the game smoother. Absolutely. So yeah, let's talk a bit about the card crafting here and the upgrading. Let's talk first about the card crafting, because that is something that you might have seen in other games: Mystic Whale, Edge of Darkness, Custom Heroes. One more, I think. I don't remember it.
Yes, those were the 3 that I thought of.
I think it might be those 3. And this one, Dead Reckoning, it's in that.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah, so let's not go deeply into, because we already like the system.
I really enjoy it.
One thing I do enjoy here is that it's basically a market, but it's space-specific market. So you have to be at a specific space to be able to buy the card from that market space. So it's kind of like an open draft or an open market like you have in Dominion, or in more like the more Ascension and all of the ones we had, like the floating market, which just goes around and around. It's kind of like that. But you have also then the farther away you are from harbor, the better cards are going to be there. Or like might not be more expensive, but mostly better cards are further away.
They might be like the same abilities that are near, but they're much cheaper, for example, or equally expensive but better abilities.
Because you have to move further and
because the resource management in this game is really interesting.
But let's finish the thought we were on before we go to the next point. Cool, I know rambling is our thing, but let's try finishing one thing before going to the next. And so card crafting is really good, and I really like it here. You feel like you upgrade your deck. I enjoy that, and trying to like, I want to save it on that specific card to make combos and stuff like that. The new thing here is the leveling up of the cards, because all of your cards can have like the 3 sleeves, and also all of the 12 cards in your hand start at level 1 and can go all the way up to level 4. And that is the one thing you can do anytime between your turn and the start of your next turn. So you can even, like, if you have a card in your hand you want to upgrade, and you have another one which will be better if somebody attacks you, you can wait and see if somebody attacks you, and then you can upgrade it and play it and have a better attack card.
Yeah.
So, and many of the actions and abilities in the game just comes into the game when you upgrade specific cards. And here is also a lot of the sandboxy things comes from that.
Yeah.
Because you can choose to ignore buildings. You can choose to never have the ability to build a building, or never have the ability to upgrade your ship. There's different strategies or different routes to go depending on the way you upgrade your cards. And I really enjoy that system. It's like a little bit of a add-on to the card crafting system.
Yeah, I feel like the cards that you upgrade really sets your direction in this game. Because if I want to, for example, go for combat, I will upgrade the combat cards.
Yeah.
If I want to go for buildings, I have to upgrade the buildings card. I don't have a choice. So it feels like I really take my decisions on what to upgrade depending on which, for example, achievements that I'm trying to go for.
So you were trying to talk about something, the resource management. Let's go there.
Because often when you get resources from the cards that you play, you place them in your harbor.
Yes.
And that means that I have to physically drive or sail.
You're driving your ship around.
Back to the harbor, pick up my goods, and then sail to the places that I want to use them. For example, for buying the cards.
Yeah.
And also the things that I produce on the islands. If I, for example, produce some money on the island that I own, I have to go back to the harbor to actually like
Put
cash
them in
in
your
the
little
money.
treasure chest.
Because if they're on my boat, I can't sail as far, and people are likely going to attack me if they see that I have a lot of money, because if they sink me, then they get my stuff. But I feel like that balance, like when to go back, where you get your little crates or like barrels, is really cool. And I also feel like the way that you set sail on your turn is really clever, because if you're setting sail in harbor, you can basically offload all your resources, set sail, and then load them off and drive around. So
because the way that works
cool.
is that if you have like different slots on your ship. And when you place resources on it, you just did a thing that you do many times. That you explain something and you don't explain why. You place the resources on it. And if you have any resources on a slot, then the symbols on that resource, which can be a sail or a cannon, they don't exist, basically.
Thank you.
And also all of the slots have different maximum capacity of resources. So it's also hard, like if you go for a strategy where you want to get a lot of coins, because that is points, basically, and you also want to upgrade your ship because you want to have more space for the resources.
It's so sad when you have had to throw away coins into the water to get home because you're
One
stuck.
thing, and this is the only, I never give strategy tips in games, but if you're playing this game for the first time, you might feel like, oh, exploring all the way to the back of the map is going to be fun. It will, but not if you then take that spot and you start getting resources. Then you have to move very far, and you haven't gotten any upgrade cards, and that is basically what happened the first time we played. And it took very long to play the game because of that. So let's talk a bit about the last main part of the game, which is the combat. There is 3 types of combats in the game. There's combat against buildings, which is basically just almost a deterministic combat. You can't use any special abilities or anything. You just have the cubes that you have. You drop them in the tower. You will see pictures of it, and you see what the result is. Then you have the 2 other ship versus ship combat, which one is towards the merchant ship, the NPCs, and the other is against the player. I'm just going to briefly explain how it works before you go into the thoughts on the combat.
Might we do it the other way around?
Yes, let's talk about it first.
Because
and then
that
people will
works
be like,
so well.
I don't understand what you're talking about. You will be dropping cubes into the ship that you see in front of you. Hopefully now, editing, Johannes,
in VR
put it in
now.
here.
Yes.
You will put it in, and they will basically shoot out in this little place where you will see now. And depending on where they land, they're going to give you different abilities. Some is going to be damage to the other players. Another is going to be the crowns, which I don't know why that is winning the combat, getting a crown. I don't understand that symbol. And you might also get resources, both you and the other player. So winning a combat doesn't really give you anything. It gives you something towards an achievement, but it might give you resources. It might give the other opponent resources. It might give you damage and the other player damage, and you might sink the other player, which will then send them back to harbor. You will get all their coins. If they have too few coins, you will get some from the chest, and they will not lose any of their resources. You will only lose coins. So what do you think about the combat? We don't usually enjoy combat in games.
Yeah, I like it. I think that you can win even if the odds are against you.
Yes.
If there's a tie,
Which is irritating if you are the person winning a lot of action cubes.
If there's a tie, the attacking person wins.
Yes.
So that leaves the defense on a disadvantage. But the defense can use, like, if I have a lot of attack cards and you attack me, then I can use the attack things on my turn also. So that is nice. It doesn't lose you as much. But I think, like, losing in combat isn't super punishing, so I'm fine with it.
It might be, but most of the time it isn't.
It's like a calculated risk. If you have a lot of coins on your ship, you shouldn't have that. Then you're stupid, so it's fine.
Play better.
Yeah.
But I agree. It's the thing I enjoy the least about the game, but I enjoy everything else so much that I don't mind it too much.
Yeah.
Just like briefly talk about replayability.
Yeah, that's my main concern about this game. Because I don't know, I have been falling into like the same strategy, like...
That's not the game's fault.
No, but like it's very easy to go for, because it's kind of a race to these achievements because they end the game.
Yeah.
Some of them are easier to combine with than others. Some are easier to go for than others. So it's like I felt like 2 or 3 games has been very similar to me. And I feel like in this game I will have a lot of fun with some expansions and add-on stuff pretty fast.
We have an expansion. We just want to know if you have seen our top 100. This is what we do now.
Yeah.
We do have the one expansion.
With some of it.
Yeah, just like a small little thing.
So I feel like this is a game that I would quickly get an expansion for, because it's supposed to be a sandbox game. I've heard rumors about that. Then I want like more stuff and more
happening,
but it really doesn't bother me with the base game. I have a lot of fun with it, but I haven't played it 10 times either.
No, I feel like if you're playing this like time after time after time, it might feel samey. I agree with you on that.
But if you love it, I don't think you will.
No, but
really
it's one thing I've been thinking about. Like, I'm feeling like I'm doing kind of the same thing and not feeling like I get that. I agree with you that I don't feel like I get an exploration of different things to do. So let's end this video on talking about final thoughts. Do you want to begin?
I enjoy this game a lot. I was like a little curious because it's not my favorite genre. Like, it starting to navigate a little away from the usual Euro goodness that we like. Yeah. But it's a lot of enjoyable stuff. I really enjoy the card crafting system in this game that I've already mentioned. I really like the theme in this game. It feels like I'm going out, actually sailing this boat and trying to explore and trying to take control over these islands and get resources. I have very much fun when I play this game, and if you get a snappy, fast game with 4 players as well, I think that's gonna be awesome. So I'm gonna give it a 8.5.
Cool. Yes, I agree with basically everything you said. I think that the game, when it goes this quickly, like I think that's one of the things that makes it so fun. If it was an hour longer, I would think that it was a bit long for what it was. But I feel like it's a medium-style game where you're just like boom, 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 you do these things, but it's tense. With there's a lot of things that I like. The area control is really cool. So you can go for, and I feel like you can go for different strategies. Like I did last time, I did like a super production, getting all the coins into my treasure chest and doing all of these. I feel like that was the most different game I played of it, and it felt different. So you can also, like, the replayability thing might be like you have it and I have a tendency to just go into doing like the thing that we feel is nice.
Not be a fault of the game.
Yeah, but I really enjoy most of the game. I understand the combat is there. It doesn't bother me too much, but it's not the most interesting part of the game for me either. But as a package, I feel like it's very well done. I enjoy it a lot. I'm going to give it an 8. Nice. So that is the end of this video. If you are still here and you have not subscribed to the channel, you can do so now by
clicking the subscribe button. It's fun and it's free and makes us happy like this. If you want to do something that's not free, you can
go to patreon.com/boardgamingramblings and support us there.
Yes.
And that's the end. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Johannes.
I'm Cinema.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye bye.